Hey there, this is Clark Brown with Disaster Podcaster. I am a business coach and consultant for the disaster restoration property industry, and we have a podcast that's geared around everything to do with our industry. It's usually talking about technical things, about industry trends, sometimes equipment. We interview instructors and speakers and even sometimes unknown contractors. So we really try to mix things up. But today, we have an incredible surprise for you. I think you are going to really get a lot of value out of this, and I think it's going to give you another year of homework to do afterwards. So I reached out a few months ago just on a whim, and I really want to encourage everyone, take your shot, take your chance. No is the easy thing to say, but yes is a great thing. And I reached out to this person and said, I believe so much of your content, so much of your intellect and acumen applies to what I as a coach and what we deal with every single day. So we have the incredible author of 8 incredible books and speaker, lecturer, has his own podcast and multiple other endeavors, Mick Michalowicz. I want to bring Mike on the screen real quick.
Dude, that intro was amazing. My ego's like,
Good morning,
Thanks
Mike. So we've got Mick Michalowicz, and just everyone, if you don't know, I think everyone's going to really remember Profit First is probably the first book that people, Mike. And I think that's a great book, and I have Profit First in my business, and we coach, principles of that in everyone. But I love Fix This Next, Clockwork, Toilet Paper Entrepreneur. I kind of love that name. And I mean, all of them are specifically applied to success of entrepreneurs. And it really just, it brings you a lot of, you seem to know what you're talking about. So it really makes it easier to comprehend. So welcome.
It's a joy to be with you, Clark. Thanks for having me here.
Yeah. Thanks for taking some time away. I know we've got a limited time, so we're going to definitely try not to go so fast where it doesn't make sense, but we're definitely going to try to get in some really good nuggets and morsels and leave a little bit of time. So I'd like to introduce myself again to you and the audience that we're speaking to, more importantly, so we can frame our conversations around that context. The disaster industry, so fire, water, flood, mold, and then small scale, little neighborhoods, probably where you live. There probably might be people that are in your township where you live. And then there's the guys that are down working in Florida on Hurricane Ian, where I was up until about a week and a half ago. So that's our audience. They're all entrepreneurs. Some of them have multiple businesses, some of them just the one. Some of them have a background in some kind of education in business, and some just were tradespeople who said, I'm going to go do it myself, which I think we both applaud the guts to do such a thing. So anyway, I would like to start off. If anything you want to say, you have 8 books. Is that correct that you've authored?
Yeah, I got 8 books now, and working on another one.
Yeah.
I guess what I want to say is kudos to every entrepreneur in this space. There is someone literally one block from here. It's called PDQ Restoration. They do disaster recovery. A friend of mine, his name is Damon Gersh. He did the 9/11 incident, the attacks, and did some of the major cleanup down there. So I know this space, peripherally. I've watched people in that space, and I know it is a feast or famine thing. You don't know when the next one. You know that the next one's coming. You don't know when. And so the business is these peaks of energy and cash flow, and then these deep valleys of struggle, and like, where is this business collapsing? And I'm committed to serving that entrepreneur, all entrepreneurs, but I understand the volatility, and I can assure you, because there's going to be volatility, you can bring predictability.
Yeah.
If you know it's going to happen, that means it's predictable, and you can bring some confidence to your business, and that's what I hope to share today.
So tell me, what was your first book that you wrote?
First book was The Toilet Paper Entrepreneur,
yeah.
And it was kind of a rally against what I've been reading in books. I love entrepreneur books. They serve me so well. But at least the books I was reading, it felt like the author was speaking from a position of pontificating or observing, almost like a professor would. But it didn't feel like, oh, here's someone that's in the trenches with you, that's going through it now and has some observations. So I wanted to write a flavor of that, where we kind of walked arm in arm together through the entrepreneurial journey, and in the same time challenge kind of some established notions. And that's what I did with the Toilet Paper Entrepreneur.
I love it. I'm a rebel by nature.
Nice.
And I have a lot of things around our business that are against the grain. If someone tells me to go that way, I'm not. So I knew that about the Toilet Paper Entrepreneur, which is the best name of any book that I've ever heard. I can only imagine where the idea may have come from. But I liked what you said. Right. You're right. A lot of people speak to everyone instead of with everyone, and I think it's a conversation. And I don't think there's one recipe to run a business. I think that everyone has to find their own. As a coach,
correct.
People ask me, can I get a business in a box from you? I said, they don't exist and they might not work for you if I made you one, because there's characteristics.
No, I agree. Personalities. There's certain foundational principles that I think all businesses can follow, but we also need to, at the same time, exploit our own uniquenesses. There's countless restoration businesses out there. If they were all the same, wouldn't the customer ultimately just go to the one that has the best price? Right. And the thing is, they don't. They pick on convenience, someone that they can get access to. They focus on the quality of work. They look at elements that make us distinct and unique. Maybe you have a specialization somewhere, or just the way your reputation precedes you. Those are all the elements that distinguish a business. So foundationally, some of the core elements, they need to be the same. Yeah. But for us to get noticed, people judge the outside observations, and there we have to vary significantly, but be true to our own nature, who we naturally are. Business is an expression of ourselves, ultimately, I think.
Yeah. And I think those things are more true now, post-pandemic, than ever.
Sure.
Where the service level is generally becoming, the presumption is service is disappointing a lot of places you go. I mean, I think we can all attest to, there's just been, you go to restaurants and there just seems to be a lower level of attentiveness. And if you can stand out against that, you're a leg up. I think you probably know Seth Godin, but I love Seth's work around Purple Cow. All you need to do is be remarkable. All you need to do is show up and get some attention and then deliver on the quality that you probably already have. But it doesn't matter how good you are if no one knows you do that, right? Because
so I used to be in the IT industry, and similar to restoration and restoration, there is a lot of competition. And if you simply do something that is, as Seth Godin would say, remarkable, meaning worthy of remark, people are going to talk about you after the fact. Mm-hmm. That's a big deal. And most people, when they experience an IT business, they wouldn't say, how was your day today? It was great. I got my computers fixed. But when Geek Squad showed up, they would say, you wouldn't believe this. These dudes came in this costume with the tape on the glasses and the narrow tie and fixed the computer. Yeah. 99% of the service is identical to anyone else, but they were willing to be that Purple Cow, that differentiator. And we as consumers judge that 1%, that one thing that we cannot unsee or unexperience, and we feel compelled then to share with others, and then viral marketing kicks in.
I love that. I love it. Our business is very cyclical. You mentioned that. You nailed it. Very, very heavy with constant, franchises, independents popping up all the time, because there's a perception that it's somewhat recession resistant. There's always going to be a flood, a fire, and that causes, this thing. But you're 100% right. I think just standing out. And then the last thing I would say is our industry requires empathy. You're dealing with people who are going through something that's their first time often. I've seen it 16,000 times, and it's easy for me to be complacent and say, it's just another day at the office. You've got a person.
I had just a play on this, because I think someone right now could take something away like this. Like, be the teddy bear guys. And I'll give you an example. There was a company that was in home services, not restoration, not disaster recovery. But what they would do is if they lost heat in your house, for example, they would come with a teddy bear. And if you had a child or children at the house, they'd say, hey, we know it's a cold night. We're here to fix it. But your kids may have been uncomfortable. Can we give them a teddy bear? And they were the teddy bear company. And people are like, this is the best company ever. Because people are going through, in that case, a minor trauma. When you have a disaster happen, that's severe trauma. Can you show some of your humanity through a gesture like that? Your reputation will skyrocket.
Yeah. Mike, I don't want to go too deep down that lane, but I've got a really good colleague that lives in the Atlanta, Georgia area, and he
Yeah.
deals a lot more on the side of the trauma side of what we deal with, the unintended deaths and the bloodborne pathogen. But there's always another level of loss there. And he has a dog that's specifically trained. Just imagine a service dog, an Australian Shepherd that senses trauma and warms up. He takes his dog to every loss with him and every project and meets the home owner. And they've got a dog in their lap, and it changes the dynamic of all.
Oh my God, that's so smart.
Yeah.
And that's remarkable.
And he is remembered saying, that the second time he shows up, if he doesn't have the, Miranda is her name, Miranda Lambert of all things.
That's my favorite country singers. That's awesome.
Is it really? So
yeah, I love her stuff. Yeah.
Great. Tell us, you were in IT. You obviously, you've had, I believe, 3 large businesses. So what was the pivotal moment that made you write the toilet paper entrepreneur? What triggered that to happen?
Yeah, so I had built a couple companies. So one was in IT, one was in computer crime investigation. So we dealt with people with trauma too, and we did the defense work typically. When there's a crime that happens, the FBI, the ATF, and so forth is the enforcer on the prosecution side. And that company was acquired by Robert Half International. It's a Fortune 500. Yeah. Became very wealthy in my early 30s, but also thought I was a genius. And I think there was divine intervention. I then lost everything just through arrogance, buying and accumulating, showing my big house, showing the cars, but also by becoming an angel investor. I started investing in all these businesses, but aimlessly. I didn't know what I was doing. 2 years, I wiped out everything. And the turning moment for me was when I come home to my family to tell them we're going to lose our house, which we did because of me. And my daughter felt so compelled to be of service to me. She grabbed her piggy bank. She was 9 years old and said, "Daddy, since you can't provide for us, I'll do it." It was a very traumatic experience. I was sobbing when this happened, and my family was devastated. The only thing that was left over after I lost everything was my family. They stuck by me. And it became this epiphany that I need to figure out what I don't know about entrepreneurship, which apparently is pretty much everything. I thought I knew so much. I know basically nothing. And so I'm on a quest, selfishly, to understand as much as I can about entrepreneurship. I currently directly own 2 businesses. I'm invested in 4 others. I have 6 businesses. And they've become platforms for me for testing out stuff I research, deploying them here. And if they work well, then I codify it into a system that I can share to my readers. Because I think the more successful we are societally, the more small business succeeds, but the more we all succeed. So I'm trying to rise the tide, but I'm the guinea pig of these businesses.
We have that in common, Mike. This is my second career. I have a different industry. I sold that and I got into this disaster business. I knew nothing of it. And it's 20 years now, and I've been every state in America and 11 other countries. I've seen a lot of different things. And somewhere in the mid-teens, 16, I just found out that I knew a lot of things from my experiences, my opportunities that I'd had, the gratefulness I had, that would help other people who hadn't been there yet. And I'm with you. I'm like, we have to reach back behind us to get the next generation and pull them, or else we did all our failures and successes were for nothing. And so I have also several businesses, but they're all in line with this. I have an association that's more like a nonprofit that supports our industry. But I get all of my material, my content, my ideas and concepts from listening to people, what their pain points are, and it triggers me to build something. So I think
I love it.
I always have a tribe to tell me what they need, so I can find either from myself or from my colleagues. We're going to find some answers, and then we're going to blast it out to everyone.
Yeah. And what's so interesting is imagine you live in a community and you're the wealthiest person by far, but everyone else is dirt poor. What's that experience can be like? Well, you may actually become fearful. You may need to stay in your house. Like there's nothing to experience out here, and people may want to steal from me. And that's a really horrible experience if that would happen. But that's unfortunately what I see in so many businesses is it's my success and everyone else in my community needs to struggle. It's this me and not them approach. Yeah. It's very more than competitive. It's a scarcity mindset, I guess.
Scarcity.
And Scarcity. It must be scarcity. But I like your positioning is when everyone's being elevated, you naturally go up with it. It's a much more engaging experience. People want to and need to spend money with you, and they have the means to do it because you've helped elevate them. And it just starts this upward spiral. And I guess that's the abundance mindset.
The abundance mindset. I know I've read enough about extremely successful people, whether success, whether it be impact or even money or whatever it is, they were all major givers. It's a common thing.
Yeah.
Those selfish people, they hit a ceiling, and people detested. They don't want to work with people like that. But if someone's giving a lot away, there's a natural attraction there. So, and it feels great. I mean, if you're the right kind of person, giving
feels awesome.
Want to do. I think Walt Disney said, we don't make movies to make money. We make money to make more movies so people can enjoy themselves.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I like that.
I love that mindset. Let me ask you, if you were to frame, I know we're running up on time. We're living in some really interesting times, but if you frame the last 6 years of entrepreneurship, or even maybe when you started writing the books, how much change have you seen globally in entrepreneurship in this country?
Yeah, I mean, tons. There is a move, obviously, to this virtual reality, and it's now a reality. I mean, look, we're doing it right now, and it's made things far more accessible. But the interesting thing is the shift to the leaders of business and how we are needed to act, because we're losing the tactile experience. Like, you and I can't, shake hands. We can't hug. There's no tactile experience. There's this weird epidemic of loneliness is happening. And the proof is, look at the mental therapy business. It's exploding. There's so much demand and such little supply that people can't get the help that they're starving to get. We as employers can step in. I'm not saying we're therapists, but we can give that tactile experience. We can be the whamily, the work family for our colleagues. And that's the opportunity. One significant transition we've made here, we started about 3 years ago, is we do one-on-ones with every single employee. Now, collectively, we have 20 employees. We're a small business, but every employee is met with individually, and we simply talk about their lives. It's not me doing all the meetings. We have a president of our company, and we have other managerial leaders. They're managing these, but I am meeting with our executive team, and we're just exploring life. What's happened is we find ways that the job can complement their aspirations or desires in life. That if we just tweak the work schedule for them, they can spend more time, watching their kid's soccer game or something. And what's done is we're respecting the human experience even more demonstratively. And our colleagues, the team here, is reciprocating by elevating the business even more. So I think we have a responsibility to invoke that family experience or that communal experience that's going away. That's the biggest shift I see happening in the last 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, I would say, and I want to point out on the screen of these podcasts, I did a podcast earlier this year about a book that has really just shifted my whole mindset. It's by Jeremy Adams, called Hollowed Out. He's a college and high school professor talking about our current generation. I know we beat up on millennials a lot for a lot of things, but they have different experiences and they're doing what they do. But talking about the extreme loneliness is becoming from living inside of devices. That's the world now. That's how you connect people. And then when you're forced, it's like my industry is having a hard time finding people who want to talk to other humans. That interaction, and that's just not how young people are growing up now. So they're struggling with that. But there's a lot of psychology into it about the world used to be a tribe mentality. A community bowling league was a really big book by Jung.
Sure.
And those things aren't happening. People aren't going. The churches are seeing less people come in. There's bowling alleys are very few people. Online gaming, and that's shrinking our connectivity. And I think it's making entrepreneurs struggle, leaders, owners, of how do I pull people up and let them know that there's still a way we can connect. So I also think that the availability of information on the internet has changed entrepreneurship.
For sure.
Not all information is good information, and it comes at you like a fire hose. So I think great filters for people. Don't, just the first thing you read, the first 3 YouTube videos you watched, maybe all 3 different. You've got to kind of like go deeper and then look for some mentors. I love mentorship. I think find someone that's done it before, verify it against what your idea is, and go. But I think the tech has really changed. But I think
tech, of course, is an amazing tool and asset. The danger, to your point, is all information is out there, including all false information. Therefore, whatever I believe to be true, I can validate to be true by looking on the internet. I could say, oh, I think the world's flat. I know the world's flat. Well, Google that, and you know what? You're right. There'll be enough articles out there that support you. Yep. But you could say the world's round, and you know what? You're right. There's enough articles out there. It's very hard to bifurcate what the truth is from fiction. And if our mind believes something to be true, we believe it's the truth, and there'll be fictional information out there that could support it. So we have to be really critical of our own observations. We have to counter our thoughts. I think the world's flat, but how can I think it could be round? Or maybe it's an oval. Like what? How can I look at this differently? So we have to have a high level of discipline to challenge our own beliefs, and that'll serve us very well. Conversely, of course, the internet expedites things too. Small business now is at the highest level of competition with big business. We don't have the budgets, we never will, but we have the tools that are making an equal playing field. The consumer can't differentiate if they're on a well-done private website or a well-done corporate website anymore. So we have the opportunity to compete at the highest level. But you just got to be careful that you're making decisions that are truthful and consistent, not just with your beliefs, but the reality.
And I think the social media marketing has leveled the playing field a lot. You can really, for a low budget, you can get a lot of mileage out of grabbing onto something that can go viral that can propel your company overnight. And I've watched this happen too many times, but when you grow too fast without those fundamentals, those foundational tools, every tall tree that has small roots will eventually fall at the first big storm that comes through.
It's a great analogy, and it's the absolute truth.
I tell people, I said, don't give your time. I know you want this tomorrow. Every entrepreneur wants success tomorrow because that's what they see. I said, but you will have a richer experience if you build something that'll last through a couple seasons. And by the way, if you can withstand the weather, all the other guys that fall away, now you have a bigger piece of the pie. So build it up that way, I think.
That's true. And the storm is coming. I mean, I think all indications are that we're going to go through a recession. And I don't know when, and I don't know how long. And maybe we're already in it, or maybe we're already out of it. I don't know. But recessions happen over and over again. This is the natural cleansing of the forest, if you will. The fire comes through, or the strong winds. And it's the businesses that have the fortitude, the roots to stick around, that lap up all the sunlight when we recover. This is the time to really ensure that you have a strong, healthy business. And it doesn't mean necessarily just taking every job because it's a job. It means being, cherry picking the jobs that you can serve very well, building long-term relationships, getting contractual agreements, stuff like that will help you weather the storm. And then, my gosh, the recovery is the best part.
There are some really staggering statistics about companies that emerged from wars, of recessions, things of that. Like you said, people that come from that are so much more prepared to do it in the great days now, and they just grow up. So I think a lot of major companies emerged from after World War II. How do we rebuild and stuff like that? Hey, I know we're running out of time. I had a question for you. I think my favorite book of yours, Mike, is Clockwork, because I'm designing. Oh yeah,
rock and roll.
I'm designing my life and my business around working less so I can do more of the things that are passionate to me. Yeah. I need a hierarchy of needs, Maslow's and your own. I need to have those foundational support structures and stability. But can I ask you, you've redone the Revisited, you rewrote. What are the major changes? I have not read the Revisited yet. I love the first one.
What coincidence? I do have it right here, always ready to market. When I revised this book, what I did was I went through, we have over 1,000 students that went through, we have a formalized training called Run Like Clockwork. I had 1,000 students go through that, and we were watching the feedback. There was a couple of points of confusion. This concept of the QBR, the Queen Bee role, which is the most critical, essential heart of your business, if you will, the most important function. People are having trouble finding it, so I fixed that. Other concepts, there's about 30 concepts that have been improved and simplified. I think one of the biggest things was, I had some people email me saying, I love the original book. I want to do this, but I don't want my employees to read this because I think they're going to think I'm going to the beach while they work in a sweatshop here covering my cool lifestyle. I'm like, that's not That's never the objective. The objective is to elevate your colleagues, for them to be able to step into the dream job that they've always wanted, playing at a higher level. So it's not about you taking a vacation. It's about your business getting a vacation from you. So I rewrote the book to ensure that message comes across. And every chapter now has a section specifically and exclusively for employees, how they can participate in clockworking the business and live into the life that they envision for themselves.
Because if you make them successful, you'll be successful as well. So
there it is. Boom. Boom.
I think, you know, to your clockwork, I'm a big student of that. And so I'm not a videographer. I have these curtains open. I'm in Montana, and the most cinematic, I've got mountains and snow. It's 3 degrees here. We've got a few feet of snow, and I've got the Bridger Gap Mountains behind me. And I'm here for a week long in a cabin doing a business plan. I just shut down, other than this podcast.
Oh, that's cool.
This is the only piece of work I'm doing, is I'm just looking at what does 23 look like for me? What steps do I need to make between now and then next year? But I encourage so many people to build your business to come do this. This is where the greatness is. This is a preem. This is, you know, to disconnect the best idea. So I wanted you to know that
that's awesome,
really,
Clark.
But I'm in Montana, in Red Lodge, if you know where that is. It's close to Yellowstone. And just every year I come for 1 week, no family, and just shut it down. Everybody knows that this is a phones off, do the work, drink coffee, smoke barbecue, and everything else like that. So
I love it. I love it.
Well, listen, is there anything else like parting words? What's the new book you're writing? Are you ready to talk about that yet? Or is it still
new book is tentatively titled All In. It's about how to recruit and retain the best employees and how to raise the bar for everybody. And then if you want information on that book or any of the stuff I'm doing, my website is Mike Motorbike, as in a motorcycle, because it's Mick Michalowicz. No one can spell that. So MikeMotorbike.com has all my books up there, free resources. I used to write for the Wall Street Journal. That's there too.
Yeah, well, I'm going to put I'll put that link in the description of this. So we're on YouTube.
Thanks,
and the podcast version. It'll be on the screen. Everyone will know how to get a hold of you to do that. But I just want to thank you for just sharing your gracious time. I know a lot of people grab your attention, but I think my industry and my group, my followers and fans will completely value this 30 minutes and probably have some really strong things to put on their agenda to move towards.
Good. All right, brother. Thanks again. Be well.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye-bye.